So, I would never consider myself someone who has depression or who suffers from depression, but I definitely have bouts and I definitely have spells of time where I feel pretty depressed. I feel like there's this heavy underlying anxiety that sort of sits on my chest. Sometimes there's this feeling that persists, this feeling of almost hopelessness, almost like dread, and it feels quite heavily, just like anxiety. It feels like blocked up energy. I'm exploring this ketamine route now. It's 6 sessions, 6-hour-long sessions, twice a week, on a Monday and a Thursday. The attitude that I want to go into today with is just to sort of be open to letting go and not being afraid of anything that sort of comes up. And just sort of explore the inner workings of myself. And I think that sort of kind of sums up nicely what and why I'm doing this. Is a bit of self-exploration as one of the main sort of themes, and if it sort of helps me with that underlying sense of depression or anxiety that sort of has a tendency to crop up in me, then amazing. You almost feel like nowadays everything in the world has been explored and there's no sort of new grounds to sort of find externally. So the real exploration happens inside of yourself. And the real exploration actually happens when you go into the deepest resets of your mind, because no one else has actually been there, and it's for you to explore.
Holy fuck. Holy shit.
Here's what I wrote just before the therapy. So I said, my intention for this therapy is to release this tension, the grumpiness, and to see the light. The feeling that I'm beaten down. I don't want that for my life. I want purpose. I want to remember my truth, to know my freedom. This is exploration and healing of my mind, of any conditioning I've experienced. That is what I'm healing, to free my mind and experience my potential. I want to feel my happiness. I want to feel the joy that is my birthright. It's time to rise up. Let me remember that I am as God created me. I am not afraid. Throughout the session, I was kind of just going with the feeling of this kind of whooshing, this pulsating through my body. And it wasn't like mushrooms where you see visuals. Like I saw no visuals whatsoever. In fact, I remember being very dark and black. And it almost felt like I was just in the darkness, basically. And I was there sort of with my thoughts, and I was like, okay, look, I'm not really having any of these profound thoughts at the moment, and maybe I didn't take enough. And I was kind of thinking, I should have chose this album, I should have started it here. So my mind was racing a little bit, but I was kind of just enjoying the feeling of the ketamine running through me until it kind of got to the end. And I had like this realization, this powerful realization, where I just felt this knowing, this sense of knowing that I am on the right path. And to me, someone who has always had this sort of self-doubt, this self-critic, that is always questioning whether I'm on the right path or choosing the right decisions or making the right decisions. Everything I do in my life, I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right position right now? Am I making a mistake? And it's almost caused a lot of tension and built up stress in my life where I can't just let go and enjoy the moment and just enjoy life, enjoy it unfolding, like surrender to life. And that's something I've not really been able to do. I think this week has pretty much been a bit of a breakthrough week. The main, sort of takeaways that I got were after the first session. The second and the third session were really sort of distracted, and I don't think I got necessarily much out of them. Either the music wasn't quite right, or I'd sort of end the ketamine journey, I'd take my mask off and I'd be like, try and talk about something with the therapist who sits and sort of observes you. Rather than just kind of sitting through the whole experience all the way till the end of the hour. So I was, I guess in a way, not sort of in the experience of the second and the third ones, although, they were good learnings. So, I really wanted to take those experiences, take those learnings, and then put them into what I did on Monday. And my whole sort of, intention going into Monday was, look, I need to just let go. And I need to just sort of sit back into the experience and let whatever needs to happen to me happen. And yeah, it was a flipping mind-blowing experience. It was mind-blowing. Little did I know, as she injected me, I lay back and I had my eye cover on, I had the music playing, and I just started to sort of leave my body. It's almost like I felt my consciousness being sucked out of my body slowly. And the experience started by me just feeling like I was, there was no world outside of the room I was in. And it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and there was literally no world outside of my own mind. And everything outside just disappeared. And then once that happened, I just felt my body sort of melting into the ground and almost melting and dissolving away. I felt my identity slipping away, and at first it was a really sort of scary experience, and it was like, holy shit, like I don't want to lose my identity, I don't want to lose who I am. I remember just saying to myself, let go, let go, let go. I am as God created me. I am as God created me. And I just said that I wanted to feel the grace of God, and I wanted to invite joy and happiness into my life, and I wanted to let go of any blockages and traumas that are stopping me from feeling joy and feeling the grace of God. It felt like my body was plugged into some sort of circuit, almost like my phone was being updated. It was like I was being plugged in and I had like a new software downloading or whatever. I kind of settled into this sort of dark space and I felt comfortable and I wasn't really thinking too much. But what started happening was my body started convulsing and shivering for literally the whole sort of 40-50 minute experience. My whole body was shaking and shivering, like from my whole body, like my jaw is jittering, my hands were jittering, my whole body was jittering. And it was my body shaking off and releasing blockages of trauma, buckets and buckets of it. And I left feeling so light and just light on my toes, almost in a state of bliss for the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours afterwards. I felt just at peace, complete at peace. There was no problems. I wasn't in a fight or flight mode. I was in a complete calm state. I had a very clear vision, a very clear sort of feeling of knowing that my purpose on earth is as a blank canvas and it's here to create, and whatever I decide is the right decision to make, because I am a divine being and I must trust my own guidance, because I am guided by divinity, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And that really sort of took the pressure off life, that took the pressure off all of this feeling of, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Was that the right decision to make? And actually just accepting that every decision is the right decision to make. So I left the clinic, pretty dazed, and I found my mom and my girlfriend outside in the car. So I got in the car and we drove off, and I told them kind of the experience that I had, this feeling of knowing, this feeling of returning home, this feeling of nostalgia, and this confidence around what my purpose is as a blank canvas. And Karen gave me a piece of paper to write something down so I could capture that feeling. And we parked the car. I wrote down, scribbled down, I am a blank canvas. And as I did that, I just started laughing hysterically, like literally belly laughing so hard that I started crying. I started bawling my eyes out, and my laughter just turned into just tears of joy. And then the tears of joy turned back into laughter, and then I was just laughing, crying, and my mom and Danielle were crying and laughing with me and just sort of holding space for me while we literally were parked up on the side of the road somewhere. And it was a pretty powerful experience, and it was like this amazing release of just so much built up tension, built up anxiety and stress around, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What am I doing here? Why am I here? Am I on the right path? All of these questions that I've been tormenting myself with for the last 10 years, ever since I was growing up, ever since I left school pretty much. Even before then, it was just this release, and it was beautiful. You're doing all right. You're doing all right. You're where you're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be.